Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Pryoxis. I'm back with another video, man. In this one here, I'm just going to talk about two things SCI, or if you guys want to call them by the game, Undisputed can do to make the game a much better game. And these are drastic changes to me. They would really shift the meta. They would really shift and change the way people would have to play the game. And those two things is one, head movement, two, footwork. And I'm going to talk about both of these individually. And I'm going to start off with the footwork. Now, early on in the game release, it was like, I want to say early access or closer to beta 2, you was able to more so move off the center line really well and evade punches off with just footwork, right? You can move your feet, moving around, and it would throw off people's punch accuracy. And I didn't really find that to be a problem when it came to, oh, I'm missing my punches, because it more so made you have to be in certain positions in order to land them. Now, that has changed drastically till now, because now tracking is stronger, but right now hit detection is an issue, and that's more so mixed with desync issues. But also I've seen tracking issues when I was testing it even offline, where punches were just straight up missing on people standing right in front of me. So that's why I call it hit detection instead of tracking. But it's much different now. I'm noticing how me moving, side to side, or me circling doesn't result in people missing punches as much anymore. It's more so just about throwing the punch now, and it kind of reminds me of UFC 5. But I would like to see more footwork, even if it was where you would lunge or you would sidestep, right? Those things would take you off the center line, because when you're actually boxing, right? Someone stepping off the center line, someone getting on an off angle can throw off your punch. Now, if you're going to predict and think, oh, okay, I think he's going to end up there, or you're just that fast, then yeah, you can land that punch. But it's too many instances where punches are like they're the way they're tracking you. I've seen them where they will rotate. Like it reminds me of UFC 5. That fighter or that boxer will literally turn with you to land that punch, and it's just like, though, like, let's say I start right here and I throw a hook. If you're over here, it'll like turn me all the way over here just to land it, and it shouldn't be that way. That's not the way it works. The body cannot contort like that. It just physics, right? If you're talking pure physics, it doesn't work that way. So when it comes to overall footwork, my bad, y'all. When it comes to overall footwork, I just want to see that make more of a difference, especially with boxers like Lomachenko. I mean, he's probably got some of the best footwork in boxing history. His ability to step off the center line, create angles, make you miss. That it's just it. You don't, when you use Loma, you don't feel that. You don't feel like, oh, I can do this. When you use Lomachenko, it doesn't feel that way. His footwork doesn't feel like that, and that's an issue. That's a really big issue to me, and it should be a really big issue to my boxing heads out there, because when you use Loma, the purpose of using him is his strongest trait is going to be his movement, his ability to make you miss and make you pay and create angles and hit you from here. It's like, well, how did you just get over there? Well, you just hit me right here, and you tell me you stepped off over here and you just hit me again. That's Lomachenko. It you can't do that with Loma in the game. And if you guys think, oh, I'm just sitting here, you just complaining, you just crying, I'm literally trying to better the game for the people. I'm not asking for things to just help me out. I'm asking things to help out the boxing world when it comes to this video game, because at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, this is the boxing game we got. There's nothing less, nothing more. I mean, we can wait on Undisputed 2, we can wait on another fight night game, but at the end of the day, this is what we got right here, right now. And if we're not here to look to better the game, then what are we here for? What am like my complaints are for making the game better. There's a lot of people that just stop complaining or stop talking about the game and just drop the game completely. But I'm one of those people still passionate about the game and still want to see the game succeed. So with that being said, we can go ahead and transition off into head movement. And I think this is one of the biggest things in a boxing game that you cannot have not working. If I am boxing and I don't have the ability to make you miss by moving my head, not only just backwards away from the punch, but slipping punches, ducking under punches, what boxing game am I playing? I think head movement is going to play a really big part in the meta shift. Now I know Marshall, I watched his video where he was talking about punch tracking, and if you buff punch tracking, what about head movement? And that's 100% going to be an issue. I'm gonna be honest, if they buff not punch tracking but hit detection, they buff that and they make it to where it's like UFC. Like if you're in range, it's going to land. You're going to turn the game literally into UFC, but without head movement. I'm be honest. They're literally going to turn the game into EA Sports UFC and basically take away. And if they don't have any head movements, it's going to be very, very, very annoying fighting people. You're gonna and it's gonna be guys where they're just throwing boom, 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 and they're gonna be landing punches that you don't feel like they should. And you know how you counter people that are overly aggressive? Head movement and counters. Now I'm gonna actually talk about I'll actually do it in this video. I'll do it in this video because I was gonna do it in a separate video where I talk about vulnerability and vulnerability spikes in instances where you need to be taking more damage because you're more vulnerable. But uh let's just continue talking about the head movement. Like I should be able to, if I'm boxing, if I boom, like you can't do that. Also, you can't slip up the center line, hold this, and throw a jab. You cannot do that. And in a world where we're in 2024 going into 2025 of gaming, not being able to hold and spot or hold this and throw a jab at the same time, and then you can be able to come back and come this way and throw the cross, that just doesn't make sense to me. I just doesn't. You should, like, when in the game, if you pay attention, you can't slip and throw. You have to slip. He'll come back and then throw, and all of that time it's like a charge. It's gonna take time for that animation to play out. And by the time this guy that did throw the initial punches does like get done throwing them, he's gonna be able to do this again. By the time you start back trying to throw your counter, and it's like the purpose of, I'm predicting that he's gonna throw, like, let's say I throw my jab, right? Boom, he throws his, I slip it, boom, immediately hit him on the right hand. You can't do that because it's just too slow. Because the animations don't chain together. See what I mean? And I will show you guys an example, but I'm not even gonna do that. If you guys play UFC, you know, you can do a small slip and then throw a punch. You can do a large slip and then throw a punch, whether that's an uppercut, hook, whatever the case may be. And that needs to be an Undisputed. Head movement is very, very bad right now in Undisputed. Not only because of head movement being bad with how you got to do it, and the slips and clicking down. Like, you have to click down on the analog stick. You have to literally click down and flick it in a direction in order to do like the like where you're like slipping heavily. And it's like it's you know what I mean? It's like when you're actually playing it, and it feels weird. Just like, and I hate to rant on, but just like fainting punches. I don't know why this changes was made, but fainting punches is absolutely terrible. And that had nothing to do with the video, it just came to my mind. But if you want to feint in Undisputed, you have to hold down the left on the D-pad and throw a punch. I don't know who created this, but we need a reverse Uno card. I know in the early access there was an issue where punches were, it used to be where you feint like UFC, where you would throw a punch and you would hit the right trigger, or R2 right trigger, whichever one you're on. But now they changed it because punches were still counting as punches thrown instead of a feint, and that, a feint isn't a punch thrown. But now you got to hold down the D-pad and then throw, and it's just so weird. So then you got to take your finger off the analog stick, put it on the D-pad. Like, it's just like, no, it doesn't match together, right? It's not, the puzzle piece doesn't go together well when it comes to throwing punches like that. So it just doesn't make sense. But anyways, as I got off track, y'all, it's just head movement needs to be better. Head movement creates more counter opportunities. I'm not sure what they're gonna do, what's going on, but if they buff tracking, you're going to see the problem with head movement. Like, and it's kind of the domino effect, or I'll just call it the undisputed effect, because every time they do it, it happens. Every time an update comes out, something gets fixed, something else gets broken. That's kind of what's been going on with Undisputed, and I want to see, I want to see not track. I want to see hit detection fixed, but I also want to see head movement. Head movement has to be something to get fixed, because it's a big issue. It's a really big issue. Um, Especially in boxing. There's guys who really has really good head movement. Canelo Alvarez, really good head movement. It's hard to hit him, but it's easy to hit him in Undisputed, because if he's trying to move his head, because the punches, there needs to be more evasion frames. If you guys don't know what frames are, it's what makes up the game, right? If you throw a punch, it's frames it took to start up the punch. It's frames it take when a punch is still active, it can still hit you. Then it's recovery frames, where the amount of frames it takes from you to go from you having your punch out there to bring it back to protect yourself. All those are frames. Now, evasion frames are how many frames you have of evasion when you do a head movement. Like, okay, when I do this head movement, I got 15 frames of a punch that goes straight that I'm going to evade, something like that, basically. That was just an example. That was not like oh, you need 15 frames. No, but I'm just saying, for example, something like that. But anyways, and I'm gonna finish and wrap this up with the vulnerability, because I was gonna do this in separate videos, but I don't want to separate videos where y'all feel like I'm just complaining or yapping. I'm simply just asking for a better game. And vulnerability is something that I thought Undisputed wouldn't have to push heavily, because I think vulnerability will cause people to try to abuse it. A lot of stuff in the game where they add, now someone just looks to abuse it, and vulnerability could be one. But if spammers are going to be able to spam like they want to and not be punished as heavily as they should, then vulnerability has to be a thing. Because if you let's say if you throw a hook with this hand, right? Yeah, you're protecting yourself here, but this is open. Like, that's vulnerability. You're vulnerable, right? You moving forward into a punch, that you're vulnerable. You're literally spiking the damage, because not only it's like a crash. Not only are you getting hit with a punch, you're walking into it, right? Or you slip. You're vulnerable. You're slipping into it. You're like you're creating force. Your force going this way, their force going that way, and it creates a crash. That's vulnerability. You're vulnerable. Any instance where you're vulnerable because you've done something, that's vulnerability. And there needs to be different spikes of vulnerability. It's like UFC. UFC is not the best one to go off of, because UFC vulnerability system is unbalanced. And I'm not here to talk about UFC. I just think the vulnerability system is unbalanced, and it could be tweaked, but it is a good start where Undisputed could possibly make changes to vulnerability. So that's gonna be that, guys. I've yapped enough. I do appreciate you guys for watching the video. If you made it all the way to the end, let me know in the comment section, because you are a W mans and you actually listen to me yap. But these are the videos I feel are the best ones to push out to help out the game, or talk to the developers and speak more so for the community. So if you guys agree with me, let it be known in the comment section. Let it be known by the like button, so there gets more traction and more people can see it. But with that being said, your boy's gonna get up out of here. I appreciate you guys for watching. If you enjoyed any parts, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe up, turn on notifications, and I'm gonna catch y'all boys and girls in the next one. All right, see you.